through, we can do introductions. I'm Steve Cheslock with the town of Marana. And we can move on. I don't know how you want to control this.
Maybe I can just read, and Caroline
Okay.
Yeah, Caroline from PAG. Yeah.
and Eric,
Eric Kramer, PAG.
Hansuno PAG, and Josh,
Pope with PAG.
and the attendees, and I'm not sure, just Delmos. You can see.
Yeah, this is Del Dolly with Pima Community College.
Thank you, and Dylan.
Dylan.
Maybe issue about audio, and just maybe following up later. The George.
Hi, I'm George Hammond. I'm the director of the Economic and Business Research Center at the University of Arizona.
And Matt.
Hi, I'm Matt Barabee with the City of Tucson Planning and Development Services Department.
And Patty. Patty
Yes,
Davidson.
I'm Patty Davidson. I'm with Pima County Finance Budget.
Okay, thank you. And daughter.
Hi, this is Tara Salomon from the State Demographer's Office.
Okay, thank you. And those are all now that I can see. Maybe later in the Dylan, and can you access to audio? Okay, maybe Dylan is here. Maybe have a little bit of problem. Chris, just to double check if he can.
I'm here.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I was muted. Sorry.
Thank you. And those, all attendees, and maybe later, if there's anyone just attending later, then we can just introduce. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks very much. There is no in-kind form, correct, for us to fill out. So I think we can move on to the PSAP update.
Okay.
Yes.
This is Eric Kramer. Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to just present a sort of a timeline of where we are with the PSAP. We began in late 2018, early 2019 with a review and delineation and editing of tracts, block groups, and census designated places. And we submitted our materials initially in May 2019. There were some issues with census software that required a close coordination review. We followed up in June 2019. And then there was the verification phase began in January 2020. And again, we had some technical issues in the verification materials. We submitted those verification materials in early April 2020 and followed up with the census. In May 2020, the census reviewing our submission found some anomalies, but our submission was correct. They were using the wrong reference materials. But as of June 4th, 2020, census confirmed that everything is okay now. So I imagine I'm not sure when the timeline for the Tiger geography, the delineated block groups, et cetera, will be published, but usually it's fairly early on in when the census releases its initial public findings. So that's it with the PSAP update.
Great.
Any questions or? Okay. So I'm presenting the next phase here, the next point, employment data.
Great. Thanks, Eric.
So let me see, I've got control here. Hopefully. All right. So I'm going to talk about the PAG employment database update. And whoops. Okay. So regional planning agencies like PAG routinely use and update employment data, specifically high resolution site specific data, and lots of applications that include long range planning studies, scenario planning, transportation improvement program, and also to track regional economic development. Researchers and agencies today are more than consumers of this data. They have to assemble, clean, validate, integrate, and maintain multiple sources of employment information. This presentation will discuss some of PAG's innovations with employment data preparation, including recent changes to methodology. In particular, we're going to highlight a dual conditional data assessment to integrate incoming employment information with a base of previously verified data. The results or outputs from this methodology will be compared to previous year's employment data, as well as regional employment from the quarterly census of employment and wages. And finally, I will tell you about our current work on regional employment. So in recent years, managing our employment data, we have decided to move from a spreadsheet to a relational database approach. There are many reasons for this. A database offers excellent storage and retrieval options. There's the ease of maintaining and integrating large data sets and multiple sources, and the ability to automate tasks with programming languages for greater efficiency. We work with multiple streams of data, from commercial business listings to in-house employer surveys, each with potential overlap and duplication. With that in mind, we prioritize what we call administrative data, local primary employment data information sources that provide current, accurate, and trusted information. These include surveys of local government employment, university and primary secondary education, and the large employer survey that is a travel reduction program. After that, we have external sources like news reports about new employment or business closings, business verification sources like Google Places, API, and Yelp, and finally, purchases of commercial business listings like Info USA and Dun & Bradstreet. These sources require a lot of work to clean, evaluate, and verify records. There's lots of duplication, outdated or incorrect, or even misleading information. So when we started this process to update the way we manage this information, we developed a method that assumed a clean slate of no prior verified employment data. Our most recent efforts, however, address the problem of how to integrate incoming information with an established base of employment. We need to merge these sources while also verifying the current location and existence of employers. So this flow chart represents the first method that was presented at the Transportation Research Board meeting in Washington, D.C., and later published as a peer-reviewed article in the Transportation Research Record. I'm going to briefly go over this, not just sort of skip over these points in the interest of time. But if you were more interested in if you're interested in greater detail, I strongly suggest you take a look at our article in the Transportation Research Record. So the basic points of this first method were just the data prioritization. We also verified our employer location and system, Google Places application programming interface. And to verify, we also compared our information with Google's information using a string comparison method. And we also used a random sampling review of these classifications to develop a decision strategy. And then we also used a text or string comparison to help identify duplicates. And the result of this method was our 2018 PAG employment data set. It was also incorporated into the 2018 state employer database viewer at MAG, housed at MAG. And so we developed this 2018 data set using this method, and that is the kind of the base of where we're starting from. So our update, latest changes are really designed to handle employment data verification, giving this this verified base of employers. And we have that 2018 base, which served as a reference to match against incoming data. Highlights of these changes include greater automation in the address standardization techniques that we use. And we have included also better cleaning techniques. We've used address matching with zip code and parcel-based addresses, and also utilized some fuzzy matching techniques to help identify hard to match addresses. We've used Google Places API again, but we've tried to update the method we're using to minimize cost and also have greater efficiency with the data that Google returns. And we have also improved our string comparison method, so it has 2 rounds of comparison that produce a match both of current records and incoming data. And finally, what we're calling the dual conditional classification. I'll discuss this in a bit. It enables a quicker, more efficient review, enabling a kind of a strategic approach that allows us to focus our effort on grouped sets of records. For example, businesses that appear to have relocated. That would be one type of group. All right. So here's just a flow chart of the overall process. Begins with the pre-processing, typically cleaning importing the data, formatting it, including address standardization. Round 1 of the string comparisons. Again, I'll discuss this in a bit. And then imperfect matches from round 1 are checked against the Google Places database, and then the Google information that's returned will be cleaned and standardized. And then we have round 2 of the string comparisons. Again, I'll get into that later. And then we have our the information from round 1 and round 2 is combined into what we're calling the dual conditional classification matrix, which is the basis for our strategic review. And then we have our sampling review to check the accuracy of employment, NAICS classifications, and final duplicate review. Again, there may be additional checks that are necessary to satisfy our QA/QC process. So round 1, the string comparison method has been expanded to accommodate different types of comparison. Round 1 finds the best match between any incoming record and any record in the verified base data. Administrative records are excluded since they replace previous year's administrative data. And for the latest data, we compared both addresses and business names of around 12,000 incoming records with those of 20,000 verified base records. That's about 248 million comparisons. Each match is assigned a match code based on the combination of address and name matches from using a Levenstein string distance algorithm. Now, Levenstein algorithm basically calculates the number of single character edits to transform one string into its comparison string. The best matches are those that have the least amounts of edits. Again, the best match may still be quite poor, so there are numeric thresholds to determine if a match is good, fair, poor, or unmatched. And addresses are either matched or unmatched since there's a higher degree of standardization than with business names. Here are some examples. -2 would mean that you have a different address but no name match. So that's really not a match. A -1 has a different address but the name slightly matches or there's some similarity there. A 0 would be an exact match on the address, but a poor match on the name. A 1 would be an exact match, but a fair match on the name. And then a 2 would be a good match on the name, but an exact match on the address. And a 3 would be, of course, a near perfect or perfect match on name and address. So next, we move on to validate the results of this round one comparisons with a Google Places API. We take all of the imperfectly matched records from both the base data and incoming records. In this case, there were about 11,000 existing base records with 3,600 incoming records. And we had 8,700 exact matches between the base and incoming data, as well as around 1,400 administrative records. The clear advantage of excluding these exact matches in the administrative records is that we have savings in overall review time, as well as the API transaction costs. So we're assuming, of course, that the perfect matches between existing and incoming records indicate business existence. We still have to review employment and NAICS for those records in the final QA/QC, however. Okay, so Google, here are some examples of Google's API returns. So this is one where we have Little Sprouts Child Care Center on the Broadway location. Google returns two records, one saying it had been permanently closed and another offering the current business that's at that location. So we would conclude that Little Sprouts doesn't exist at that location anymore, or there's a different or related business at that location. Another example is with 1AZ Credit Union in Park Avenue. Again, Google returns two records, one saying it's permanently closed, and also another suggesting an alternative address. It could be the branch has moved, or could be a new branch, or could be an existing branch. So we can conclude that the business is closed at that location, but that Google suggests another one, the same name, but potentially a relocation. But we don't know, so we need to do some duplicate checks to make sure it's not a duplicate with what already exists. And here's a third example. Google returned only the address, but not the business name. So we can conclude that there's really no evidence for that business. Of course, we can check alternative sources as well, and frequently do. Okay, moving on to the second round of string comparisons. Round 2 follows the Google Places API validation of our imperfectly matched records. And this string comparison examines the input business name and address with its corresponding API return. And as that's really fewer comparisons this time, much fewer comparisons, because we're simply checking against the matched that Google came up with. And we assign a match score similarly as we did before. How it summarizes how well these two sources match up. And finally, we take the results of this round 1 and round 2 comparisons and construct the following matrix, which exemplifies this dual conditional classification of all business records, both the base and the incoming. The point of this is to help us identify patterns in discrete groups in the data assessment. The groupings allow us to identify what records need greater attention in review, and in that way we can save time by focusing on the records that may require manual checks and follow-up searches. Round 2 comparisons placed roughly 80% of those records into the top tiers of matches with Google's data. The remaining 20% not including the perfect matches from round one or administrative records, were not matched satisfactorily. So within the matrix, group A and B at 47% of total records represent the well-matched records that are ready to verify. They'll still figure into the sampling checks that we do. Group C shows a name match to some degree, but the address does not match Google's data. They could be thought as a potential business relocations. A quick check of 89 records selected randomly from that group indicated Google's information was accurate for 75% of the sample where relocation was suspected. Group D comprises records that have matched addresses with imperfect name matches or else match poorly with Google's database. These represent potential business closures. This group was also randomly sampled to check on the accuracy. It's a bit more nuanced here. Our sample size of 102 cases, only 12% of those showed only Google's information to be correct. So Google was completely correct in 12% of those cases. 19% of them were correctly verified by the input data only. So that's our data was correct. But 42% of the sample was confirmed with information from both Google input and Google's API. So both we and Google were correct. So together, around 61% of cases were confirmed from either input data alone or a combination of Google's data and input data. So in our review, we focused our efforts on groups C, D, and E. And when it comes to our duplicate review, we also improved our ability to identify duplicates by better name standardization and parcel-based standardization addresses. We parsed out also sub-addresses like suite and building numbers that can give us also a better ability to identify duplicates. And we've also spent some time on efforts to link the licensed professionals to commercial practices. So frequently, especially in the commercial business listings, you have individual professionals like doctors, lawyers, their practices, well, their employment is duplicated with the employment of multi-professional practices. So we try to identify those types of cases. Overall, we have automated many database operations and review procedures with code. The automation can help reduce errors and also provide a means of documentation. On to QA/QC. After the focused review, manual corrections and duplicate checks, the base and incoming data was integrated and ready for the final sampling review. For this, we were grateful to our 5 staff members who were recruited to check on 100 randomly selected at records each. We didn't include administrative records in this. Reviewers were asked to evaluate business existence, the accuracy of NAICS classification, and employment information. We didn't require them to definitively rule on ambiguous or uncertain cases, but just to affirm the true accuracy where evident. That's to say that the uncertain category here is not necessarily equivalent to a false case. So in the table, sampled validity for each category should be understood as a range of validity from a minimum to a potential maximum value. And here's a summary of the final updated PAG employment data by establishment and employment size. 46% of all employers are small businesses with 5 or fewer employees, representing 8% of total county employment. Contrast that to large employers with 100 or more employees. These firms contribute 40% of total county jobs. And most establishments in the county are small to medium-sized employers. We compared our updated employment with our 2018 base. and broke it down by NAICS categories. And you'll see that prior year NAICS comparisons of the establishments and employees show some differences. One difference is that the employment has dropped while establishments have increased. It's quite possible that small business establishments grew, but we know also that there were a fair number of large employers, including call centers and retail, that closed or had staff reductions. That may partly explain what's going on. But keep in mind that this update put a lot more effort into scrubbing the data for duplicates and review and updates of employment in NAICS code than previously. And this may also have contributed to some shifts in the number of establishments and employee totals by NAICS. And for a different perspective, we also compared our latest employment with a 2018 quarterly census of employment and wages summary. Differences here are largely consistent with the same comparison for prior year's employment data. There are a few quirks about QCW data to know about. One, employment information collected by state unemployment agencies and reported by QCW covers most jobs with a few exceptions, such as self-employed workers, railroad employees, and student employment at universities. Arizona, as a state, does not require employers to file mandatory multiple worksite reports. This means that employment totals may be skewed by employers who choose to report jobs from a single administrative location. If single work sites are in multiple counties, then a single location reporting may skew county numbers. In addition, QCW data frequently suppresses information that may compromise the anonymity of participating employers in any industry. For 2018, QCW reported annual average employment in Pima County at 368,438 jobs. 38,048 jobs from that total, representing 39 establishments, were not reported by industry sector due to data suppression. Now, these jobs originated from local and state government. Don't ask why those have to be suppressed, but QCW placed the establishments within 10 industry sectors, including educational services, NAICS 61, and healthcare, NAICS 62. PAG's employment data differs most from QCW in totals in these areas. Our administrative data applies to most of this. Another caveat is that PAG does not recharacterize public sector jobs by industry, except for public education, which we merge with educational services. It's plausible, in addition to data suppression and single administrative reporting, that some of the discrepancies between QCW and PAG employment are from how QCW classifies government establishments by industry. Okay, so moving on to the current work. So the 2019 PAG employment review is underway using the Dun & Bradstreet data. We've also purchased recently InfoUSA data for 2020, both pre-pandemic and September 2020 data. It will be interesting to see how those changes are reflected in the data. We're also exploring using commercial permit data to add additional sources of reference to help identify potential employers that have been missed. And we're always on the lookout for other regional statistics going to help us benchmark our work and identify issues in our data. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Eric. That was pretty interesting, actually. Does anybody have any questions for Eric? Is there anything anybody would like to say? I'll take that as a no. Eric, do you find Google the data becoming better and better all the time?
I have noticed improvements. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So they're becoming a major source, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they've also been able to identify businesses that have been, temporarily closed during the pandemic. So it's fairly responsive and timely information.
Eric, with
if-
the Google API, that gives us that helps with a couple of the attributes of the data with the location and the name, but where it falls short with the number of employees and the
For
names.
sure.
Correct.
Yeah, you can't. It doesn't provide that information. No.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They have broad categories of types of businesses that can help put some context there, but they don't give us NAICS codes
Right.
or employees per se.
Right. Cool.
Interesting. Okay. Great.
Steve, if I could make a quick comment, really a compliment.
Please.
Yeah, Eric and Hunsu, this is really cool work that you're doing, and really, I think, important for Tucson to kind of account for that multi-establishment reporting, where there's establishments in different counties, but the employment shows up only in one county in the QCEW data. And that matters because that impacts the growth that we think we see in Tucson relative to Phoenix over time. But we've never really had a high quality data set that was widely believed to tell us how big an impact that was. And I guess my question is, do you guys see this, the work that you're doing as creating an annual employment estimate that's of high enough quality that we can track the employment trends over time, and maybe down the road use this to generate our own independent benchmarking of the CES data?
Yeah, I think I can answer that. Yeah, that's a really good question. We are just struggling, and we are actually just trying to just figure out how we can just bring our the regional kind of employment data and showing the annual the changes. So we found some kind of issues, and maybe I believe, and we need a kind of a couple of additional process. So one of the main thing is that just the establishment, and we're trying to just have some answers, and as just reviewing our the permit data. So also we'd like to kind of look for some other the regional statistics.
Yeah, we still have a fair ways to go. And
so it sounds like you guys see this as a snapshot, your best snapshot in time, not so much as a time series.
Yeah, I mean the commercial business listings they're updated, but a lot of times a lot of stuff sticks in the database and it's outdated, and so it's hard to say how precise a timestamp the commercial data would be. But as far as our local surveys, those are much more accurate.
Yeah, because of the what we have data, and we believe in our data quality, administrative data from our jurisdictional partners, but the commercial data is actually the employment size is kind of a range, not exactly the size. So I also we are kind of a little bit struggling explaining about their data quality management. So this is the kind of the key part, and if we have a really right kind of the number of employees for each employer location, that's actually the key point. So we'd like to kind of evaluate the size of the area, like a scale freeze or any additional data. If we have that, we may have a better kind of a sense, and to find out the exact size of employment for each individual location.
Okay, yeah, that's this is really, really great cutting edge stuff that you guys are doing from my perspective. So congratulations and good job.
Thank you, George.
Yeah, thanks, George. Appreciate that. All right, I think, can we move on to the next, on to item 5, to the building permits report?
Okay, Caroline, are you ready?
Yeah. Anyone see me? Good morning, everyone. Yeah, it's been 10 months since our last PubTech meeting. I'm glad to get a chance to hear you guys again. Anyone hear me okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the first presentation I'm going to talk about is the building permit report. This presentation mainly to just give you, I'm trying to, sorry, still trying to get used to, okay. This presentation is trying to give you some brief summary of all the jurisdiction, for each jurisdiction, for all those building permit summary for to 2020 fiscal year. Give you some introduction, and then I will give you the numbers, the report, and some brief analysis for the for each jurisdiction, the time to complete the houses. Okay, why we collect the building permit data? Most important is the AOEO requests building permit data from each jurisdiction from the cost, which is PAC is one of those. And they want to get the residential data to do the July 1st population estimate for sub-county level. That is the reason for building permit. And then also AOEO will use these numbers that we gave to them and turn around to give the Census Bureau. Census Bureau itself, they also do their population estimates in the population estimate program. PAC also use those building permit records for our own programs and models, and we found it, the building permit is very useful. And then the last thing that we're going to use is sometimes the public will request some data, some building permit information. So we will aggregate it, all the record. We will not disclose individual addresses. We just aggregated the record and maybe give them a summary and a report. Okay, so when we collected, sorry. When we collect the building permit record, and we will usually ask for July 1st to June 30. Hopefully, we usually ask for jurisdiction to give us a monthly report, but if the jurisdiction cannot, not able to give us monthly, we're happy to get every half year. And AOEO, they always ask us to submit the data twice a year. And normally it is January, they ask for July to December data. And then in July, they ask for January to June data. And that's usually due at the end of August. And so once they got all the numbers, all the report, and they will generate the population estimate, and the report is supposed to deal by the executive order. They have to publish the report in December 15 of each year. So when we get the data, and usually we do some cleanup, and also we coded the building units according to the type, and such as 101, it is single family, and 102 is single family attached, and 103 is the duplex, such like that. And usually 600 level, that is for demolition, and different type of housing type for demolition. So it's a 605 is single family, and then 608 is the apartment complex, such like that. And so this is the report that we got, the summary we got from all 6 jurisdictions. You can see that within these 12 months, the whole Pima County, we gained about 4,400 units, and about 86 units demolished. So we still get over 4,000 units net increase for a whole county. And you can see majority of the building permit finished by Tucson, and then the balance of Pima County that they take up the most net increase. Here is some analysis for individual jurisdiction. Yeah, you look at Marana, you see that over 900 units finished last year, and some of them may be apartments, but mostly as single family units. You get around average 50 single family monthly. And already also finished about 224 units within this year, and about average about 20 each month, with very few duplex, which is come from the assisted living that they are building for the duplex. And Sharita, we got 300 net increase for the housing unit this 12 months. And each month we got about 20, 30 units each month. South Tucson got 2 units and in January, and also, within this half year. Tucson, we got actually we got somewhere around 50 to 100 single family units, and then with once in a while we get some apartment complex. With last year and this year, we get quite a few, several hundred apartment complex. We get very few mobile home from Tucson. And then Pima County also maintain about 70 to 90 single family each month. And then you get also some, once in a while you get some apartment complex. And then every month you get actually get few mobile home installed every month. And this is a brief analysis for how long it takes to finish each average. For average units, take how many days to finish for each jurisdiction, or how many days to finish per permit. Like single family, basically 101 single family is 1 unit, 1 permit. So you see how many days generally average. For Marana is 184 days average for those 12 months permits. Like already it take about 274 days to finish those permits for single family. But then when you come to duplex or apartment complex, then a little bit different analysis, because one permit, it can multiple units. And so we look at the apartment complex that it will take longer time to finish 1 permit. But if you average out per unit, it takes a lot shorter because you build all the units together in one time in 1 permit. So it may take a year or 2 years to finish the complex, but each complex, it could be maybe 50 units, maybe 70 units or 100 units. So it takes a lot shorter time per unit for multifamily. Then we look at concentrate. Right now, we look at the single family, see how it finish. Like Marana, majority of the permit for single family, it take about 6 to 4 months, and if we finish most of the single family, and by 12 months, I mean, you will 95% of the permit is finished in 1 month. And already, it usually takes a little bit longer. It takes 7 to 9 months for most of the units finish. And 79% of the units will finish in 1 year. Sharita, the same, most of the housing, single family housing will finish in 4 to 6 months. And within 1 year, 98% of the permit will be finished. South Tucson, you see that basically they can finish in 9 months for those 2 houses. In Pima County, that majority of the houses, they finish as 4 to 6 months. Then in 90% of the houses will finish in 1 year. So this is a very quick analysis for the permit information. Is there any question or comment for this report?
Anybody like to say anything? We'll go with a no. I know in the town of Marana, activity is still very strong. And there's a lot of apartment interest. I think next year is going to be a very big year for apartments, especially here. So it's pretty interesting. It's constantly changing, but it's
Yeah,
still-
in the past, I think in Marana, most of the permits are for single family. So I can see that lately, last couple of years, you get a lot more activity for apartments complex. And so it's good to hear that next year will be more coming.
Yeah.
And Marana is the third jurisdiction for the permit. For the number of permits completed, just right behind Tucson and Pima County. So
Right.
got a lot of houses.
That's right. What we do.
Hey, Steve, this is George Hammond again. Okay, if I jump in?
Yes, please.
Okay, thanks. Hi, Caroline, good to see you.
Yes.
Good job on the report. That's really interesting. And I think the completion rates that you presented are really cool, really an interesting use of the data. I think it will be when we come back to this next year with the data for FY21 to see what happened to those completion rates. Did they speed up or slow down as we went through the pandemic? But yeah, great job. That's really interesting stuff.
So you recommend probably next year we can do a side-by-side comparison for last fiscal year 2020 and then 2021 fiscal year. See what is the completion rate, or take how long to finish, maybe slow down, or the building permit have less or something. Then we can do some comparisons. Yes.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Nice.
Hi, Carolyn. This is Del with Pima College. I had a question about the city of Tucson. Are we not just getting the data from the city of Tucson?
Yeah, mainly because their data don't really. When we request data, as one of the slides mentioned, that we want to. Let's see. Yeah, we hope that we can get the slide. We try to get the date, the completion date, and the issue date. That is usually what we hopefully the jurisdiction can give to us. But sometimes I know that every jurisdiction has their own system to keep their permit record. And the report last couple years that we got from Tucson, we don't have exactly have the issue date, and so that's why we only have a completion date from their completion record, and so that's why we don't have an analysis for how long they take them to finish their report. But yeah, we definitely look into that. Hopefully, maybe later on in the future that we can do some work for Tucson to analyze some kind of to analyze that how long it takes Tucson to finish their permit.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Just in case, this is Hensu No, and modeling manager. In terms of just understanding this data, and just because of we are reporting to just the AOEO, we actually just strongly just required to just analyze this kind of just the completion rate, but we'd like to kind of just the internal like just assessment. We'd like to have that. So this is a kind of just a piggyback and type of just additional just a QA QC product.
It's interesting. Thanks.
Yeah, AOEO mainly want us to give the summary for how many units for each type, housing type, and the summary. The address level is for us to do, we get extra information for us to our model, our program, and also for QA/QC, as what he should just said. Because if you have the address level, we can do some more double checking to make sure the data is more accurate. So that's the reason why we ask for address level is for PAD, for the program, the model, and for QA/QC.
Okay.
And also, if the jurisdiction don't have the completion data, and we were going to use the issue data, that means we get the permit with the issue date and to give to AOEO. And of course, the completion date is a lot more accurate. But if you don't have the data for completions, and we use the issue data to estimate, AOEO will estimate how long it takes to finish the house, to estimate the completion. And that's what AOEO and even Census Bureau, they do that. They estimate the completion when they only have the issue date.
Great. Good to know, Caroline. Thanks very much. Can we move on to the next item?
Yes.
Please.
Yeah. To go to.
We'll have a lively discussion of the Census Differential Privacy Disclosure Avoidance System.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay. So, well, let me get going. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. The next presentation is differential privacy, which is part of the disclosure avoidance system. Okay. What I'm going to talk about today is mainly just briefly explain to you what's the DP and how it get applied, and why Census Bureau do that, and how what PAD have done, or what going to do with this new policy. Well, I should say the new algorithm. Okay, what is DP? Differential privacy. Okay, we know that by law, Census Bureau has to conduct a headcount, a census, every 10 years. In the past, long time ago, a couple hundred years ago, the basic concept why you have census is to get the headcount so that you have an apportionment for the Congress House seat, for how many seats for each state can get in Congress. It's according to whole state, how many population, how the headcount in each state. That is for apportionment. As time go by and Census Bureau will collect extra information, ask more and more information as the ways, all those extra, and then release the report to the public. But according to Title 13, all those information, individual record, they supposed to be kept confidential. It's a private data. And so those information are not allowed to give to the public for 72 years. Only after 72 years, and it can release to the individual record to the public. So when the Census Bureau released the report, even as aggregator, even as the summary, there's no individual name, no individual record. But actually, with all those reports and tables, you are releasing billions and billions of statistics to the public. And in the past, you don't really feel that bad. I mean, didn't have problem at all. But right now, the new technology with the supercomputer, or even not necessarily supercomputer, just normal laptop and normal computer, it can calculate well complicated formula or equation. And then that get the situation that people, just normal public, you don't even need to be a expert. They can easily reconstruct the data to have some individual records. And then later on, even add to some extract data from other company or private sources. And even you can re-identify the people, individual people. So that's why it is saying that if you release too many statistics too accurately, you will eventually reveal the entire underlying confidential data source. So this has become a problem because of the technology of the computer. And so people can reconstruct the data. How to do it? Let's see. Okay, we have an example here that how individual level data be construct from from just a normal summary table. Okay, on the left-hand side, this is, for example, if Census Bureau released this table, like this block or tract or jurisdiction has 7 people in this block or whatever geography. And then the report, one of the tables said that 7 people in this block, and another table said, oh, it has 4 female, 3 male. Another table said, a racist table said that, oh, they're black, 4 black, 3 white. Oh, those just aggregate data, summary report. Don't look too bad. And age and mean age, medium. But when you do reconstruction by some people, and you can just, with all those formula, equation, you can reconstruct to these records and tell the public that, hey, one person in this block is 66 years old, female, black, married. Another person is 84 years old, male, black, married. And then another person is 30 years old, male, white, married. So you basically disclose individual record by just do some calculation. Few seconds, you get all this information. And then the worst case is there are lots of private company. They collect different kind of information, not from the government, not from Census Bureau. It's private company get those private data. If you add to those information, you can re-identify the person, even can give the name of that person. So everything they know about you. That means they can tell that Mr. A, it is 84 years old, male, black, married, or even more extra information. And Miss B is 66 years old, female, black, married. So that is even more scary that they know all the information about you if they can do the re-identification. Okay, so Census Bureau actually been long time that they are aware about the privacy because Title 13 they suppose should not release to the public. So in the past census, they did some algorithm. They did actually do some work to prevent the disclosure of privacy. But with the supercomputer, with the advancement of the technology, the computer getting more and more powerful. So what they did in the past not working. So they have to find different way and to make it even more efficient to prevent the privacy. So they come up this called differential privacy. This is a concept that to inject the noise of the data to make it less scramble the data, less accurate, and just to decrease the chance that people can reconstruct the data. Okay, let me explain to you. So look at this graph. This is how Census Bureau look at the differential privacy. Look at what they're going to trade off. That means if you want high accuracy, that means you have less privacy. So this is the called privacy loss budget. Another term is called epsilon. It's the measurement to measure the privacy. If this is 0, if can you see my mouse that I'm sure? If it is 0 epsilon, that means it's absolute. Basically, the data is useless because so high privacy that 0 accurate and basically useless data. And if you have higher epsilon, if you want to have a high accuracy, so you put higher epsilon value, that means you can get a higher accuracy. So infinitive of epsilon value, sorry, not epsilon. Epsilon value, if it is higher, then you get a higher % of accuracy. So that is right now they have to decide what level you want, what epsilon number you want. So how you trade off accuracy and the privacy. So at this moment, Census Bureau is setting the epsilon value of 4 for personal file. And then the housing unit file, they set is 0.5. So because when they do the calculation, they separate out the personal file and personal data and the housing unit data. They're separate different files when they do the analysis. So the 4 epsilon number 4 used for person data, and then 0.5 used for housing unit. So you can see the housing unit possible that is less accurate, and then housing unit personal file a little bit closer right here. Closer, we got the 4, so it's a little bit better accuracy. Okay, what happened last 12 months? Census Bureau released a demo data set in October 2019 for the public to analyze their algorithm. So both AOEO and PAC did some analysis, did some calculation, and then we are also other organizations and many other companies and organizations, they did the analysis for this data set, and of course, and found some suggestions and problems and other things. They give the feedback to Census Bureau. So May 2020, they issue another set of data, which this set of data in May 2020, they only have person data. They don't have housing unit data. They only personal file. So household, total housing unit, book quarter, and the races and age. Hispanic or non-Hispanic, something like that, those person file. And also AOEO and PAC also did some analysis. Then July 2020, they suppose original plan to lock the algorithm, how they calculate this defensive privacy. But unfortunately, they still have not come up yet because they knew that the data has problem, the demo data has problem. If you find that the problem, that means 2020 census data will have problem too. So they still try to polish the algorithm. They have not locked it yet. So, and September 17, we received the 3rd data set, which is include the person file and the housing unit file. And both AOEO and PAC is working on the analysis for the 3rd data set. October this month, they suppose we set the epsilon the privacy loss budget. They suppose set it what number, what value, what trade-off that whether they want to have higher privacy or they want to have a high accuracy. They have not really locked it yet. They have not really set the value yet. It is, again, they have to postpone it. And we expect the possible in, oh, we have nothing. We expect that possible in November, they may have another data set after getting the feedback from the public about the third data set, and they may recreate some another matrix and data in November. So what about this differential privacy data? The state, absolutely, they will not change it because the purpose or the state total is for apportionment. They will not change the state total. It will not be scrambled. But anything under state, that means the county number, the block, the tract, the jurisdiction, it will be changed by this differential privacy. So it will not be exactly census count. It will be scrambled and will be some different between the real number and the number that's being injected by differential privacy noise. Okay, this is some other sources that if you want to have get better understanding for this differential privacy, and many other organizations, particularly NCSL, they did a conference last December, and they have a lot of scholars and a lot of people, researchers. They did some analysis for this differential privacy using the October data set, and they have some explanation and also some analysis about what's going on for that defensive privacy. So feel free, this PowerPoint we're going to distribute to you, so feel free to check out those websites and see if anything that you can hear your question. Okay, Pat, actually we did we work with AOEO to this the analysis for those October, May, and September's data set. We also sent a letter in February to the director of Census Bureau to express our concern about this defensive privacy, because we worry about the numbers be too low of accuracy and will affect our program and our model. So this is the letter that we sent to the director. And we also, in April, we sent an email to Census Bureau to comment their matrices, because they released a matrix back in March, and to show how the accuracy, the errors for their demo set, the October demo set. And we did some comment, and we also did some analysis in block level and with the matrices, and sent to Census Bureau in April. And I highly encourage you guys to check out this website that they did a lot of analysis, like for example, Census Bureau and also NASEM, this organization, they did their committee did in the conference, and they did a lot of analysis about defensive privacy. So if you want to follow up this defensive privacy or anything concern with you, and I highly recommend that if you can go to this website and check them out. Okay, any question? I guess you may have a lot of questions to ask.
Anybody like to ask a question or any comments? Well, it's good to know PAG's there looking at this data, checking things, working in the background. I don't think a lot of us have an idea that that's going on. So it's interesting to know that you're watching the census as it progresses. Anybody, would you like to say anything?
Hi, Steve. Yes, George Hammond again.
Yeah.
Nice explanation, Caroline. Good job.
Yeah.
All I would add is that as part of the MAP dashboard project, we do white paper grants to U of A faculty. And we've recently awarded a grant to a couple of researchers here at the U of A who are going to do an analysis of the impacts of differential privacy on minority groups, Hispanics primarily, and just use one of the demonstration sets to show some of the differences that we might see there. So just a heads up to keep an eye out for that paper. It's they're currently targeting the end of the year for delivering that research. So keep an eye out for that.
So George, did you mean that you've been working on the analysis of the data set, and you have a paper that to talk about the races, the Hispanic, what's the difference of the differential privacy affect the data of the races, Hispanic? Is that what?
Yes, and it'll be focused on Southern Arizona as well.
So are you using the data set of October or the one that in May? And also in September? Basically, all these three data sets, general statistic, they're improving better from May. They improve a little bit better in from October, and then September a little bit better than May. For general speaking, but of course there's a lot of outliers that still have problem for the data, and there's something that still have a lot of not make sense situation. There's something that the outlier and that so I don't know how which data set are you using for your paper?
So the researchers that we funded for this project are going to be using one of the data sets over the summer. You know, in order to do it, they have to pick one, and the research is evolving as we speak. So I think it was one of the and sorry, the pandemic has erased some of the details from my mind. But I think they're using one of the demonstration data sets that was released over the summer. It's not the October data set.
In May, yeah, they released the second data in May. Yeah. So you talk about them in May then, yeah.
Hi, Dr. Hammond and everybody. This is Tara from the State Demographer's Office.
Yeah, I'm glad that you can have some comment. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Caroline, about the different versions of the data. Since you're going to be looking at minority groups, I just wanted to point out that the most recent release, although it's missing a lot of, actually all of the age information, the DAS actually was improved by including the American Indian reservation homelands as an invariant. So because they had a lot of problems with that small population being affected by the noise. So in the same way that no noise is being injected for this total state population, they are no longer adding noise to reservation areas. So I'm not sure if that will play into the analysis or not. That's just one of the improvements that have been made.
Well,
Oh,
Tara,
great.
actually, I think the housing unit is still some problem with the housing unit. They generally improve, but yeah, that there's some outlier that is, but still a lot of things. Some block. I did some analysis in block level in those three data set, and there's some really rare numbers, and still the third data set still have some outlier and something that is not right.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's not perfect, but by holding the American Indian reservation populations invariant, there's definitely an improvement.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I think we're just about done. Is that true? these slides will be available, correct,
Mhm.
for everyone?
Yeah, and also we just give you heads up. We probably want to have another PopTech meeting in December.
Okay.
Just hope that maybe get you guys have a heads up that we maybe need to talk about the AOEO estimate and some more further maybe follow up of defense privacy in December meeting. And so we hope that we can have another meeting in 2 months. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Look forward to that. Are there any final comments from anybody before we go? Doesn't sound like it. Okay, thanks very much. Appreciate all Peg's hard work. Look forward to hearing from you, and we'll meet again in December.
Yes, hopefully. Yeah, that's what the plan. Yes.
Okay, that's it. Thanks very much.
All right,
Thank you,
great.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Steve.